Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 9th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I utilize to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of others with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, I do want to tip my hat to Storm. He's the primary moderator in back that keeps the technology running and makes certain that the problem children are removed before they become problem. Now, if you happen to have been popped out of this chat room because of past behavior, not to worry. As long as you don't do anything this time, you're still welcome. If you are here to cause a problem, rest assured, and don't ask me how he does it, Storm will figure out who you are and pop you back out so you can listen. Okay, now, we also have LA Moon, and she is the primary moderator that is in the room, or in the chat room most of the time, to help keep the conversation going and to ask questions when other people, for whatever reason, don't. With this in mind, absolutely, if you've got a question, definitely ask, because the odds are somebody else has the same question. Now, before I go any further, today we're going to be looking at what I call universal numerology. And there's a whole lot of difference between it and what standard numerology tells you. But before we do that, first of all, we have Philip. Philip Blair is in with the gold. How you doing, Philip? Glad you could join us. Okay, now Willard Wright is going, Keith, have you sensed what's going on at a compound in Michigan? And apparently I've discovered a creator working on God and working for God on earth. Okay. Now, that being said, Willard, I haven't actually looked into it, but you got to realize I don't actually look at the internet. Now, I will tell you there is work going on, but, and here's the kicker for you, I don't know if it's at that particular site. Okay, I don't even know how to find it. Understand, Willard, my biggest problem is I can't find a local menu on the internet. So that becomes a bit of a hiccup. But I will tell you this. Those that think that somebody, whether it's God, aliens, or what have you, is going to come down and flip and turn this all over, you got to realize this world was gifted to you with free will and free choice and the ability to turn it around. So, absolutely. But there are people that are out there working to turn things around, working to turn the lights on. Now, it was asked yesterday, I think it was yesterday. No, I think Friday, but that's okay. In any event, the reason I said 12 is the number of ultimate wisdom is very simple. It is when you break the whole system down. And yes, I do have an interesting setup. Okay, where the entire 12 numbers is there. I've got them already, the backbone of it already laid out. Okay, now, I'm going to have to stop you right there, Willard, because everything that is detectable on this planet, everything that's detectable here is third dimensional. Yes, there are various different vibratory rates. And yes, the sixth dimension does exist. But nobody alive on... Bob, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, where are we here? Philip got the gold. Willard came in with the silver. And Bob, you're in with bronze. Now, the thing we have to remember is that when you look at the way reality is laid out, it was not done in error. Okay, there are 3 karmic laws. If you look at the top of the chat room, you believe they're listed at the top of the chat room. Hope so. Oh, that doesn't show. But in any event, the three karmic laws are simple. Be true to yourself first. Okay. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And number 3, energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, we're going to take a look at a whole pile of things. And yes, Willard, we will take a look at part of what you're looking at. I'm not going to go and try and track anything down on the internet. I can barely find the stuff on my own computer. Never mind somewhere out there. But I'm going to give you something to work with here, guys, before we get into the rest of the numerological configuration. Okay. I can see where this is going to end up. But there's a real simple way of looking at it. If you look at the 3 karmic laws as a 3-legged stool, each one is equally important. Okay. But what we have to deal with is twofold. Okay. 1, yes, be true to yourself. Absolutely take to heart what you're doing. But remember, if you're going to take that in, if you're going to stand your own ground, it may not be accepted by others. Now, I'm not even going to go into the number of people that have spotted me from other lifetimes, and one in specific. But the number 12, okay, if you take a look at the whole sequence, 12 is, and I'm going to have to do it in a very basic fashion, but here's a neat little thing. The backbone is already written. Okay, numbers 1 through 12, I've already got laid out. Now I just got to go through and simply expand it a bit. Okay, but what we have to realize is there is only one first. That's all. Okay, there is only one first entity. And that starts with thought. Okay, correction. It starts with a feeling. Okay, now I could go into a whole lot more definition on that. Okay, but I will tell you, Earth itself, this 3rd dimension, this is where everything that you're going to go through in the next several lifetimes, okay, this is where it's going to take place. Not necessarily on Earth, but in the 3rd dimension. Now, yes, there is no doubt that things vibrated at different rates. But here's the kicker. And I'm going to put this out there for you. Now, I know you guys have been told what the theory of relativity is. Okay. You know, I'm going to tell you, I know what you were told, I think. Now, I've heard 2 variations. One, the theory of relativity being E equals mc squared, and the second one being the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time moves. Okay, that's neither one of those are the actual backbone theory of relativity. So I'm going to give it to you this way. 1 plus 1 equals 3. This is not mathematics. Okay. Now, when you figure that one out, Einstein tried telling people for decades about this theory. Okay. Only the scientists at the time couldn't or wouldn't wrap their brain around it. Okay. Now, the nice little part about it, you know, I'm not one to tell people whether or not you're right, I'm right. I'll tell you, I speak what I know. Okay. I work with tools I've come to terms with. That's all it is. Okay. But I am no better than any one of you. Now, the number one, okay, I'm going to go back through this in a real hurry. I just got to call that up. And we start with number one. Okay. Number one is thought. Now, whether you want to call that thought from the physical brain or from the spirit world, that's your call. Okay. The second is choice. That's number two. Then you've got number three, which is creativity. You take a look at the first thought, you get to choose how you're going to work with it. Number three lets you bring the choices together to start creating something else, creating what you desire. Okay, where are we here? Gotta minimize that for a second. No, we definitely don't storm. Lord knows I've made my fair share of screw ups. But let us go here. And again, this book will be coming out in the near future because the backbone is already complete. Number 4 is foundation. Once you get a creative idea in your head, now you've got to lay out the way of building it. Ultimately, this is correct operation, and welcome on board, by the way. Now, that's amazing that I saw that. Willard came in with bronze. This means that operation you are in with honorable mention. Now, where are we here? Call that back up. Now, 4 is when you put the foundation. Consider that like putting the foundation in a house. When you move to the number 5, and yes, there are ways of breaking it all down. And here's the kicker: the way basic numerology is laid out, their relativistic approach is accurate. It's the numbers that are a little bit of a hiccup. Okay, with 5, we go to the expansion side of things, building on what you already know. Consider, if you will, the foundation is there, then the number 5 comes along, you put the foundation, you start building on it. With number 6, okay, you come into community. This is where people start interacting with each other. Now, 6 also works on the line of communication, because without communication, you've got nothing to work with. Okay, but operation is correct that we are making what we desire. We're creating what we desire. Now, the question you got to ask is, do you desire to be better than everybody else in everybody else's eyes, or just the best you personally can be in your own eyes? Now, once you start discussing things with people, now we move in. Where am I? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Willard, I'm done. Okay, I'm not going to be looking at the site anytime today. Okay, whether I get to it anytime, but I'm finished with it. Now, from my standpoint, and call me what you will, I've been called more names than most people have ever thought about. Matter of fact, most of them I've called myself. But when we look at the number 7, that is the number of self-discovery. That's when you really get a look at yourself, okay, and at what is going on. Now, the nice little part about it is, as you get to know more about you, you'll come to understand something. Every religion out there, every spiritual path out there that I've looked into, all say the same thing. You have the ability locked within you. You've got the ability to co-create a world that you're content with, a better world than what you've got. The question is, are you going to follow what other people are telling you have to do, Or are you going to start looking at what is possible for you to do? And of course, we move into the number 8, into the vibration of 8. The vibration of 8 is expansion. Okay, think about it. Foundation plus another foundation. Now we've got the start of a community. Okay. Now, with 9, we have discrimination. Now, the difference between discrimination and choice is with choice, you're simply making a flip of the coin, if you will. I'm going one way or the other. Discrimination enables you to sort through things and figure out how to do it. Okay. Now, once you start discriminating between what you're choosing to do, what you're choosing to listen to, okay, this works out well, because now you simply come to the point of accepting where you stand. Okay, of accepting where you are, but you cannot reach that point of understanding, which is 11, until you reach 10. Now, each one of these numbers builds on the last. 12 is when you got to the point that you've taken all the numbers from before, woven them all together, and all of a sudden you're sitting in a brilliant spot. Okay, the biggest thing we have to remember is every one of us has the ability to change the path the world is on. The question is whether or not we're going to do so. Now, the biggest thing I will caution you, and I've heard way too many people, over the years, I've had people come to me and tell me point blank, and I mean multiple people have come to me telling me they were the chosen one returned. They were God themselves. Okay, now let's understand something about God. Okay, I don't care who God is. I don't care who wants to call themselves God. Just step aside and let me carry on. I'll be happy. Understand, I'm not looking for worshipers. I'm not looking for anybody to say, oh, you know so much. Because frankly, I figure I'm an idiot half the time. But what I do know is where my limits are. Now, the number 12, when you look at it over the course of the last several centuries, okay, really the last couple of decades, I think, is where it really kicked in. And honestly, Storm probably knows numbers better than I do on that one. But every program that was laid out, okay, that was successful, ends up being a 12-step program. Not a 9-step, not a 3-step, but a 12-step. They work. And what I've just laid out in very brief is the reason they work. Now, here's the kicker. Standard numerology has three letters that vibrate to the number 1, which does not make any sense to me. Okay, because I don't know about you, but what I found is there's only one in any language. There's only one number 1. There's only one letter that starts the alphabet. We don't have several. Okay, and that's where things get a little tricky. Now, what do we... Okay. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the neat little part about it, when we take a look at it, okay, and I'm going to, because I got handed this today, just for sheeps and giggles, okay, somebody turned around and told me they were absolutely not human. They'd been told they were not human. Well, here's a newsflash, guys. If you're in a body that looks like a human and you're medical, and I mean documented medical, your body documented will respond to human type medicine and food. Okay, I'm not saying what your memories are. Okay, your strongest memories may well be of a different world. Okay, but your body like it or not, is human. Now, there are some of us out there where modern medicine doesn't work properly. Okay, but you gotta give the doctors credit. They're working with 8 billion plus variations. And they're aiming for the best and for the closest balance possible. When we look at the vibratory rate of 12, you come to understand a few things. One, every single individual, and I mean individual person, cat, dog, blade of grass, drop of water, every single individual is identical. They are all of equal value. Okay. And with this in mind, okay, now considering we have been brought into the realm of dimensional vibrations, here's the way it was laid out way back. You came into the third dimension, okay? Your entire soul is fragmented and scattered across the cosmos, okay? But all in the third dimension. Now, you came here to remember who and what you are. The number 12 will help get you there. But what it boils down to is this. When you find out all about you and you've recollected all of you, then you get the joy of going back to the great hub, to where it all started, to that gateway. And from there, you get to go to the other. And your call, which one? You get to go to one of the other dimensions. Okay, this is the third dimension. This is the dimension where creativity is the key. And that's where we get off real lucky. Okay, but once you complete all 12 dimensions, then and only then does that iris to before now, only then does it open. Operation Shutdown is asking, do the off-worlders use a base 10 or a base 12 number system? Well, let's touch on that. Guess why? And let's see if anybody comes up with it. I'll give you a couple of moments. Guess why humans use a base 10? Okay, there is a very logical reason, and the short answer, Operation, is I've seen these guys, these various races, work with almost all of the numbers. Okay. But there is a reason that the species works with a given base. Anybody got any stab in the dark as to why? Okay, and it applies to every single race, no matter how many digits they've got. Okay, but I will tell you this. I shouldn't say no matter how many digits, because you go with the core lock, and that would be an Operation. Now, humans have, and most of the corporeals on this planet have 5 digits on each hand, okay, or each foot, depending, okay. Even your cats and dogs, most of them have 5, I think, but most of the reptilians have 3. Okay, the Chitauri, which is a reptilian race, has 5. Okay, so the Chitauri do use the Strazans, the Sarkon, the Tormenon, all use base 8 because they've only got 4 digits on each hand, and that's where you build your base from. Okay, now there are races that have less. There are the henopods, the Udina. Okay, the Udina they use 7. They use base 7, but they don't do it because of their fingers. They do it because, well, let's face it, they got 7 arms, each of which only has essentially 1 finger. Okay, but they're quite good at it. Now, the number 12 simply brings a combined wisdom and acceptance. Okay, it brings you the acceptance, the understanding, and the wisdom to put them both together. Now, it's amazing how many broad times people dig a hole in the ground for themselves. Okay, the reality of it is this. When you get an idea in your head as to what you would like your life to work like, take a look at those 12 numbers. If you follow that evolutionary path, okay, you will be able to attain the goals you've got. Okay, but one thing is for absolute certain. Okay, when you get an idea in your head, first and foremost, if you know somebody that successfully followed that path, talk to them. Okay, learn from their miscalculations. Now, I came to a conclusion a long time ago. In case you guys hadn't noticed, I'm not exactly the most subtle individual. Okay, haven't really learned the idea. Well, years ago, I was told I needed to learn tact. I looked at the person and went, tact? I mean, yeah, the ability to tell somebody where to go and have them look forward to the trip. My immediate response was as simple as it was direct. Look, if I'm already mad enough to tell you where to go, why do I care whether you're looking forward to it? Okay, like, where's my motivation? Now, my motivation for helping you guys understand that the path that this society has been going down is going down a shambles of a path. Okay, now, the theory of relativity, which is what sparked a lot of my looking into the base 12. Okay, and in all fairness, I looked into standard numerology first. I found some critical flaws. Some absolute massive hangups. Okay, which I'm not about to go into. Oh, numerology has all these flaws. It does. But I simply look at it and found out something really important. You cannot put yourself in a better light by putting somebody else in a darker hole. Okay? It doesn't work that well. Now, the reality of it is, where it comes to basic numerology, I have looked into it. I have done the studying of basic astrology. Okay, and yes, I found hiccups there as well. So, I'm not here to point out where the problem is, but I will tell you this. Now, I haven't seen anybody come up with the answer, so I'm going to give it to you. 1 plus 1 equals 3. This is the theory of relativity. Okay, and go ahead and take a look at it. Don't take my word for it. Okay, do your own research. Okay, you take a start and you take a finish. One place plus another place leaves all the places in between. Okay, meaning 1 plus 1 equals 3. Okay, you think about it. You have today, tomorrow, and yesterday. Okay, you have all of the odds and ends, and I could go on listing examples. I just don't see the point. Hopefully, you guys get the idea. But the way, in a nutshell, with universal numerology, with the base 12, you have number 1, because you go, and number 10, 11, and 12 are only single digit. Now, when you get to 12, okay, when you get to that first complete, the number 13 is not a 4 as in standard numerology. It's 1 complete cycle plus an additional, meaning 2. You only have 1 number 1. Okay, you got multiple number 2s because they always build on number 1. Well, no, we won't go there. That was just bad. Bathroom reference from when I was a kid. It's probably not the right place to put it, so we'll just leave it alone. Let your imagination go where it will. But 12 gives you ultimate wisdom of the first 11 numbers. Now, I am curious. I should have done this earlier, but I never thought about it. Okay, now the neat part there, 1 to 12, when you add them all together, and again, don't take my word for it, 1 to 12, when you add it together, comes up at 78. Well, 6 times 12 is 72. Okay, so you got 6 complete. Yeah, you got 6 complete at 72. And then you add another 6, which again adds up to 12. Okay, this is the nice part about it. It all locks in solid. And that's why I said, when we look at the number 12, we are looking at an incredible situation. You're looking at an incredible situation of number 12 bringing you that wisdom. Now, Justin, I am going to go back and revisit the thing. I don't know if Willard's still in the room, but I will tell you this. If you are Willard, I will do my best to track the site down. But I will tell you, before I even get there, if there is any discussion of war being a good thing, and I haven't looked at the site at all, if there is any indication that that's what's going on there, it is not the work of the God that I come to understand. Okay, now, I will tell you, when we take a look at it, okay, when you start looking at the number 12, we also go back, and I don't know all the religions, okay? I've looked at a number of them, but I can tell you that when you have a balanced setup, you have the makings of an excellent world. It's up to you guys whether or not you're going to take that guidance and start turning things around. Okay, it's up to you whether you're going to look at the world you're living in, at your life, and go, am I content with it? Not is everybody else content, but am I content with my own life? If the answer is yes, stay on course. If the answer is no, it's time to start shifting gears. Okay, one of the biggest things I've found, and it's a discrepancy I suspect in terminology. Okay, as I said, everything taking place on in existence that we have access to is all third dimensional. Now, that said, things do vibrate at a different rate. Okay, and if you vibrate matter fast enough, it will pass between the molecules of another form. It becomes solid when both are vibrating at the same rate. Okay, and this is why you only have one number one vibration. Okay, there's only one opening and one door that opened it all to start it. Okay, now, am I going to tell you what you have to believe? Absolutely not. Okay, I will tell you whatever you believe. Do that, give it an acid test, if you will. Keep pushing at the edges and see what pops. Okay, if you carry your life the way you will, but utilizing the 12 vibratory steps, figure out what you're believing in, and is it holding up against all scrutiny. Thus far, I have yet to find anybody that can derail the idea of a 12 number base being more, if you will, because, if you will, it is more logic based in as much as I haven't found the flaw in it. I know there's got to be one because I'm a firm believer that nothing is perfect. Okay? And yes, absolutely, as I've stated before, I certainly believe in God and Christ. Probably more than most. But I don't believe they're perfect. Matter of fact, the last conversation I had with the big man himself, he told me flat out he wasn't perfect. He didn't set it all up. Somebody else gave him the tools to work with. Now, you do with that what you will. But the number 12 brings about understanding, and acceptance after you go through all the issue of freedom of choice and your own path. Okay. Am I missing anything? Probably. But again, guys, if you do have a question, like Operation did, okay, put your questions in the chat room in all caps. Makes it so much easier for me to find. Now, the reality of it is this. When we take a look at the number one, there's only one. That sounds like Highlander. There can be only one. Probably not. Okay, but there is a starting place. From there, it also, you think about it, even from a genetic standpoint, you take a male cell and a female cell, it takes the two to start the chain reaction. Once you join them, you never have a single cell again. Okay, it just doesn't work that way. But do your own research on it. Understand, if you think you've reached the point, the pinnacle of the number 12, of that understanding of that ultimate wisdom. Number one, you're way better than I am because I haven't quite got there. I understand what it is, but if I actually held it properly, I wouldn't have a vocal temper. I wouldn't get frustrated. Okay, because I'd understand the whole 9 yards in an experiential standpoint. Now, do I encourage you to look into it yourself? Absolutely. Okay, that said, I'm pretty much certain that most of you won't. Okay, and yeah, I know that sounded kind of self-defeating, but understand, it's like I told a young lass today. I've been called a lot of things in my life. Some of them repeatable in polite company. But the one thing that I do have a tendency of doing is going, this is what I'm seeing. And when somebody comes up and can show me that I've made a miscalculation, as happened to me decades back, I was running my own show. Okay, I had guests on the whole 9 yards. And I had a major misconception about the Church of Satan. But the guy I had on goes, can I show you the doctrine that proves all this? I said, be my guest. Absolutely do, because I don't know it all. Okay, Lord knows if I did, I wouldn't be here. Because I'll tell you, the moment I know it all, then that means that number one, my fiance and I will have become one spiritually speaking, and will have gone back to the central hub and picked a new dimension to go and do this all over again on. Okay, and Lord knows I've questioned the randomly of that. One of the biggest things that we have to look at is when we look at the universal numerology. Okay, number 10, which in base 10 in standard numerology vibrates to a 1. Number 10 in universal is a single digit. It doesn't break down into anything. Okay, it literally is the number of acceptance. When you have arrived at the point of being totally accepting, at that point, pretty much all of your actual anger, whether it's anger at yourself, anger at somebody else, maybe you're just frustrated with the TV. And Lord knows where it comes to computer, I can get really frustrated with it. When you totally draw into the number 10 vibratory rate, what you end up with is a complete cessation of anger. You also end up with your ego being totally checked. Myself, as near as I've been able to piece together, I'm sitting somewhere between 9 and 10. I'm bouncing between the two. I understand the principle, but my temper and my frustration levels still get the better of me on occasion. And rest assured, you don't want to be around me at that point. Okay, the reality of it is that even tonight, okay, when what happened, and I will apologize if Willard is still listening, I will apologize to him as well. I do not like getting frustrated. Okay, but the reality of it is I'm not perfect. Okay, and I do know the path that most people are going down. Most are literally still at that issue, somewhere down as near as I can figure around the number 4. Okay, no, this does not make me better. I got memories that date back literally billions of lifetimes. Okay, now I've only been documenting the ones here. Okay, on Earth. Well, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, I've documented somewhere between 18 and 20 lifetimes on Earth. Okay, but my memories date back a whole lot further than that. This does not make me better. Okay, I am not the one with all the answers. I am simply the one with all the answers I've got. Oh, whoa, I do appreciate that. And I'm presuming, I'm just going to have to ask you directly. I presume you're in contact with Willard on occasion. Okay. Now, you can pass on to him, if you will, that I will look into it if I can find it. But the reality is me and computers do not get along well. But point blank, if he's looking for answers, tell him to drop me a line. You can get to it, as you well know, through the Buy Me a Coffee link. It's easy to track me down. But saying there are things I cannot I cannot sort through. Now, the reason I say most people are stuck in somewhere between 3 and 4 is because, oh, there we go. Not a problem there, Will. If you can pass it on when you do see him, let him know if you would. That would be really appreciated. Because the reality is, everybody requires answers. Okay, I'm a firm believer everybody deserves answers. Whether they get the one they desire or not is another issue altogether. Okay, but the reason I say most people are stuck between 3 and 4, the creative process, 99% of people have it down to a fine art. They know they can start changing their own life. But we are so caught up as a society in the physical world, in the foundation world of 4, that most people cannot, or more to the point, will not see past it. Okay, in my case, I gave up on the material world a long time ago, or more to the point, I gave up on my attachment to it. Rest assured, I shouldn't have. Okay, but like I said, this does not make me better. This makes me different. And rest assured, there are those of you that know just how different I am. One of the things we have to look at is very simple. Okay, when you look at the number, at the vibratory rate of the number 12, you're looking at the ability to recognize all of it is connected. All of it is built to make it into reconnect. And like I just did the calculation, okay, when you take the numbers 1 through 12 and you add them together, it breaks down to, where are we here? Breaks down to 6 and 6 is 12. 6 complete. Well, yeah, 6 complete plus another 6. You get right back to the ultimate wisdom. Now, I haven't done the rest of the breakdown yet to go up to the 144, that sort of thing. I'm not doing it right now. Okay, what I can tell you is that when you look at the 12 vibrations, now, people talk about all kinds of dimensions. I've been shown and had corroborated to the best of my ability that there are 12. And thank you very much for that, Storm. Just getting the heads up here that we are down to 15 minutes. Now, those 12 is not, when you get through all 12 of the dimensions, you found all your parts all over again. This is not the end. This is the beginning, okay, of another stage. And it's up to you to figure out what you're going to do with it. Now, no matter what state you're in, no matter where you are, okay, it's a real simple issue. Okay. Now, one of the neat little things we get that we look at, okay, is, and I'm going to have to deal with this, I've avoided dealing with religion. And it looks like sooner or later I'm going to have to tangle with it. But there are things I will not do. Okay. One thing I learned going through the 12 steps that I've been able to look through and identify is this. Every spiritual path, every belief structure are all tied together. And ultimately, they all tell you the same thing. Okay. And this is why we have to remember that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay. Now, I have no idea, and I'm going to have to make sure. And if you'd be kind enough, Storm, to remind me at the end of it, okay, to track down that site, I will go and take a look at it. Okay, I just need to figure out where it is. Now, operation is going, what numerological numbers are associated with success, love, or spiritual growth? Well, the sad truth of that is there with operation. Okay, the sad truth of it, or the beneficial truth, every one of them builds towards it. Love ultimately really culminates when you get to vibration 7, which is where you come to understand who you are. Now, a buddy of mine coined the phrase, or at least I heard it from him. Okay, to know oneself is to know all. The number 7 helps you understand what you like, what makes you happy, and by extrapolation, helps you understand how to make other people happy. Success is ultimately something that the entire path, 1 through 12, builds towards all of the above. You've got to get true spiritual growth. That is the number 12. Now, every one of them leads to that, okay, in different stages. But ultimately, you're looking at the number 12 itself as far as spiritual growth goes. Okay, when you start looking at final culmination, when you're looking at love, well, that's the easy part. When you come to love yourself as you are, you'll come to understand that you've got to love everybody else as they are. If you're striving to change them, okay, and I mean just going, you have to change. That's not a description of love. Although, if you're going, don't put your hand on the burner, kiddo, because you're going to hurt yourself. That is an expression of love. You're telling the person, don't do that, because you know from practical experience. Lord knows I know. Red hot burner, bare hand, not a pleasant experience. Okay, learn from other people's miscalculations. Okay, when we look at success, it really boils down to this. And this is why it starts off at number 1 and getting this thought. You take a look, let's just look at success itself. Okay, you desire to be successful. The first thing you look at, you've got this thought. I desire to be successful. Now you've got to go through the steps. Oh, okay. The reality of it is this. Okay, when you take a look at success, you have to decide what you consider success. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, as you figure out what you consider success, that's when you go through that creative process of altering the path of whatever is not contributing to that. Okay, one of the biggest things that you got to look at, okay, is what is success to you first. Okay, well, in all fairness, there's a few steps. The other question, why do you desire success? Now, I will tell you, for me, it's simple. The success I'm looking for is the ability to pass on this idea that you too, regardless, and that's not the music group, by the way, okay, regardless of your background, regardless of what you've been through in life, you not only deserve success, but have the ability to get there. Okay, and absolutely, I'm more than willing to turn lights on for people. But I also know where there are problems, and this is why, if you've got questions of a specific religious nature, or for that matter, of a political nature, absolutely, you want to talk to me about it? I'm not doing it on this channel. Okay, you really desire me to open up about it? Bring me on to another channel or talk to me in private. Either way, I'll be more than happy to do it, but I will not do it on this channel because here's a kicker. I made a comment a number of years ago when lockdown happened, and it was a personal opinion. Okay, and I still got slapped on the wrist because of YouTube's channel policies. I'm not taking that chance again. Okay, but I am more than willing to open doors. Now, one of the others, where are we? Really? Boy, did today ever go by in a hurry. Like I said, the number 12 will come up multiple times, but the number 1 will only come up once in any situation. Okay, you only have, realistically, one birthday. Okay, now I cheated, I got 2 if you count the fact I walked out of the morgue. Okay, but with that in mind, okay, you get one birthday, the rest of it, every year, you go around again. We go around in 12 months. Okay, you get this picture? Number 12, the astrological wheel has 12 houses. The clock that we all work with has 12 hours. Yes, it repeats it twice. Okay, but it's got 12 hours. Okay, every successful program I've run into has 12 steps. Okay, and and the list goes on. So what we have to realize is take a look at the world you're looking at. Okay, and I mean your world, where you fit in this particular realm. Okay, ask yourself, are you content with the path you're on? If you are, great, stay on it. But I will tell you, if you're still of the mindset that somebody's rules in like the legal laws that are posted are for other people and you don't have to pay attention to them, if you're still of that mindset, you haven't even got the basic idea of the first 3 laws. Okay, those being, be true to yourself first. Thank you very much, Storm. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Okay, when you get those down, you'll understand why. If you desire people to be honest with you, okay, it's absolutely imperative you're honest with them. Now, good point. Yeah, I appreciate that, Blue. We are down to the 5 minutes. Tomorrow, we are going to be talking about manifestation, how to plan to be lucky. Luck is not something that just falls into your lap. Okay, it is something you can manifest. And we're going to discuss how to go about doing that. Okay, and yes, I've done it myself. Okay, so these are tools that I know work. And just like the numerology we were discussing, Blue, and rest assured, when that book comes out, I'm guessing it's going to be one of the ones that's sort of going to be a must read. But when we come back tomorrow, we're going to discuss how to go about planning to be lucky, so you can orchestrate things. So to everybody else, they're just going to look at you and go, well, a lot of people, they'll look at you and go, oh, you're so lucky. Okay, luck is a matter of manifestation. We're going to show you how to do that. But for tonight, we're reaching the last couple of seconds here. So I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Okay, and I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, now tomorrow, 9 o'clock PST. Tomorrow, okay, we will discuss that. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive